I'll be writing on this blog because I'm researching a show called Appy. One of the main reasons why I'm researching the show is because I've been fascinated with missing TV shows, episodes, and movies. Like most people who research missing episodes, I'm hell-bent on finding London After Midnight, the 108 missing episodes of Doctor Who, and Him, the 1974 film where a man has a sexual obsession with Jesus. Even though I should help my search for any fragments of the missing episodes and films, I'm going to research this one series for now. Another reason why I wanted to research the show is because I had an experience with it around 2001. It was around 8 in the morning. My younger brother, who was 7, was watching a local TV station during a child TV show block. After a dubbed over Blue's Clues, it started to air a show called Happy Apple. I can barely remember the episode's plot, but it was about this apple who was trying to help a kid named Nathaniel. It felt sort of low budget, but since my brother liked the episode, I didn't mind him watching it. The only thing that made me dubious was this evil smile that the apple did in the middle of the episode. From what I gathered, it was the first week of Noggin's existence. This Happy Appy show began its production. Its plot was about a giant clay apple with arms, baby blue eyes, and large dark green lips being held up by a bent rusty stick. He would go around in a white 1996 Ford Windstar helping children when they got injured. As the show kept going, the episodes started to become more unusual. For one example, Happy Appy would often stare at the viewers of the show with a deranged smile. It's also worth mentioning that the series slowly got more violent as the series progressed. Happy Appy was one of the shorter shows on Noggin, with every episode being 10 minutes long at the most. They played it in duets, making each full episode 20 minutes long, minus commercials. A couple of months after Happy Appy aired its first episode, Nickelodeon canceled the show, and it was never shown again on Noggin or Nick Jr. Even the much more appropriate episodes weren't shown for whatever reasons. However, some parents did record the show, but they were simply VHS copies. Of those said VHS copies, only a few survived throughout the years. Many of the tapes have been destroyed either due to neglect or disgust, or was simply misplaced and thrown out by accident. However, some copies of the show were reportedly stolen by a shadowy figure. I was one of the lucky people to own a copy of the episodes. Yesterday, when I did some winter cleaning, I found an old DVD with HA episodes written on it. I had a feeling that I knew this abbreviation from somewhere. I did a little research on what HA meant, and my first choice was the forum about missing episodes and films that I normally go to. When I entered the missing episodes section of the forum, the first thread I saw was the one named HA. What's this? A woman posted on the thread, who had, like me, found a VHS with the initials HA on it. As I read the thread more, I found out the initials on the disc stood for Happy Appy. This instantly reminded me of the weird low-budget show that I had watched with my brother in 2000. In the replies, the user claimed that there were no known DVD copies around. I'm not really sure how the disc got there, though. I certainly don't remember owning a disc that looked like it. After viewing the thread, I went ahead and put the disc in my DVD drive, hoping that it would work. Thankfully, the disc did work, and it instantly cut to the intros of the episodes. No menu or anything. Happy Appy's intro song had the same tune as Mary Had a Little Lamb, and went something like this. Happy Appy, Appy App, Happy App, Happy App, Happy Appy, Appy App, he helps kids all day. Happy Appy, Appy App, Happy App, Happy App, Happy Appy, Appy App, he helps kids all day. Happy Appy, Appy App, Happy App, Happy App, Happy Appy, Appy App, he helps kids all day. Episodes 1 and 2 were called Happy's Vacation and Hurt Happy, respectively. Happy's Vacation was exactly what you'd expect it to be. Happy Appy goes on a vacation to the beach, heals injured kids, and even talks down a bully into not hurting a child. Hurt Happy was about Happy's stick getting broken, and the kids teaming up to help Happy Appy by giving him bandages and fruit. Nothing seemed out of place when I first saw it, but when I saw it a second time, the episodes looked questionably odd. When Happy was driving his van to the beach in Happy's Vacation, a few frames skipped. At first I ignored it, saying that it could have been a scratched DVD, but when I checked the disc, it had no scratches on it whatsoever. Also, during the fruit scene in Hurt Happy, the kids gave him an apple for whatever reason. It could have been a mistake by the producers though. Finally, I noticed some things in Hurt Happy that looked out of place. In Happy's van during the intro of Happy's Vacation, there would look to be the border of the Hope poster, but it was so out of frame that it could have been something else. At the end of Hurt Happy, there was a news broadcast about a 9.0 earthquake that recently struck Japan. Happy responded with, "Oh no, if you want to help the Japanese, call this number." And a 1-800 number appeared. I thought those were just coincidental. Well, I was wrong. Episode 3 and 4 were stranger. The intros of these two episodes were removed, but I found out that episode 4's name was Nate Needs Help. This stuck out to me because this was the very same episode I saw with my brother, but in English. Episodes 3 and 4 were missing a few scenes, and overall were a lot more disturbing than the first two. On episode 3, near the 5-minute, 10-second mark, it was when Happy Appy does his first death stare for 25 seconds. A scene that could send chills down anyone's spine was the blue part in Nate Needs Help. Happy aids Nate, who has a bruise on his knee, and he looks to the camera, giving off that same death stare that I remember from 2000 and says, "What does Nate need for this boo-boo?" For 30 seconds, he just stared at the camera, motionless, with his soulless baby blue eyes locking onto anybody watching. Finally, he broke the silence by saying, "That's right! A bandage!" Why did he need that long to speak? I'll never really know. Also, the out-of-place objects were getting more noticeable. And Nate Needs Help, the radio played what sounded like a country version of Hot and Cold, which was made in 2008, and was very, very, very out of place for a kid's show. I watched episode 5, which had a few differences from the first 4 episodes. Firstly, it had Happy on a rustless but still bent stick. Secondly, the episodes were somewhat disturbing. The theme song played and the name of the episode was revealed as Monkey Bar Mishap. It started with Happy Appy in his van driving into the playground when he sees a kid crying near some monkey bars. Once he parks his van and goes to the monkey bars, Happy finds out that the kid had fallen off of them, cutting his little finger open. Happy Appy said, "What does Jake need to heal with, kids?" He gave off his evil smile at the screen for a couple of minutes, enough time to read a page of a book, preferably the Bible, to him. Like Nate Needs Help, the soulless baby blue eyes watched over anyone in the room like Big Brother. He said, "That's right!" And Happy put a bandage on Jake's finger. After getting hugged by Jake, Happy drives away in his van. It skipped episode 6, which had a better chance of being aired on Wonder's Chosen than Nick Jr. In the episode called Never Run With Knives, a kid was running with a knife facing up. The knife was clearly a rubber prop because the blade was flopping around a lot. The kid got cut, quote-unquote, and held his hand over the wound crying, as blood began to come out of the kid's wound. Happy parked his van, gave the normal smile, and said, "Hey kids, you shouldn't have to carry the knife facing up while running." However, he did heal him by putting a bandage over the wound. The kid hugged Appy, and he said, "Remember kids, never run with knives facing up, or scissors for that matter, always walk with knives and scissors facing down." Happy took the kid to his van, drives off, and the credits played. However, after the credits roll, the episode takes a very disturbing turn with Happy coming back to his van. The kid missing and says, "Hey kids, if you find me in my van, just talk to me and I'll take you away." Episode 7 began with Happy on the playground, but he wasn't playing with the kids or helping them. He was just staring at them, with that unsettling smile I hate so much. A group of kids were playing with drum ropes, and Happy walks over to them. He calmly tells them something, but I could barely hear what he said. From what I heard, I could only make out, "Hello, Happy, how, me, please?" I could see where this was going. As the kids walk with Happy into the bushes of the playground, loud violent screams are heard for almost a minute and a half until Happy begins to drag 3 bloody bodies to his van. I couldn't believe it. For the rest of the episode, he does that damn death stare. Why did they use that look so much? It was almost like he could climb out of your TV, grab you, murder you, slowly and painfully with a rusty knife. God. I knew he couldn't, but fuck me, did that smile fuck me up. I moved on to episode 8 and 9. This time the episodes were so violent and shoddy that they couldn't have aired on Noggin at all. Episode 8 had Happy take a kid into his van. For half of the episode, flesh cutting could be heard and so could loud screaming, which turned into gurgles. As the scene progressed, blood splatters on the window began to appear. Eventually, Happy emerged from the van and did a death stare until the end of the show. Like episode 8, episode 9 was gory and violent. But this episode was so coincidental and violent that I couldn't believe Noggin would even allow it. Unless this was some sort of hijacking. It starts off with Happy walking around the playground when two kids ask him about the cycle of life so that they can complete their homework. He proceeds to tell the kids about the cycle of life and frogs and plants. The kids say, "Thanks, Happy, can you play with us for a bit?" Happy agrees, and they start playing on the playground. When this happens, smoke starts to creep behind Happy and the children. It gets to a point where they start coughing because of how dense the smoke is. So they turn around and see what was making the smoke. Happy gasps at the sight in front of them. 2 towers were on fire and were burning up. Few people were falling out of windows to escape the fire. There was a lot of screaming, falling debris, and a crashed airplane in one of the towers. Only the tail of the plane was visible, which was nearing the point of collapse. I could hear a faint whining noise at this point, and I think it was the plane's engine, which was probably still on. 7 seconds later, the tail of the plane finally broke apart, with the largest piece of the tail hitting and killing someone. During this scene, fire trucks could be heard trying to douse out the flames, but it only slowed the flames down. The wailing of the ambulances could be heard, taking away the bodies of the people who jumped down from the towers. It showed a weird guy on fire falling down from the towers screaming. Happy and the kids are seen again, but this time they stood still in fear. The smoke kept getting thicker and thicker, slowly obscuring the trees and the equipment of the playground. The debris from the tower fell around the kids and Happy, and a person ran up to them and told them to run away from the towers before running off. When the other kid worriedly asked, Happy, why are the towers on fire?" It cuts to a higher up floor that was near where the plane crashed, which revealed a kid that was under a huge piece of concrete, crying for help. Some other kids tried to help him by lifting the piece of concrete off of him. He was screaming so loud it was almost heartbreaking. There were bodies and blood everywhere, and the pain and fear in the trapped kid's face was so realistic I cringed. After the shot with the kid trapped remained under the concrete, the younger kid turns to the side said, Happy, why are people running and falling from the towers?" Happy turns to the camera, dead stare on his face, and very coldly says 3 words. Those 3 words will haunt me as long as I research this godforsaken show. "That's natural, children." He took the 2 kids away from the towers, leaving the kids stuck under the concrete, screaming for help. When the credits rolled, the audio from the scene kept playing, and at the end, before the video cuts, something collapsed, making a very loud noise that could scare anybody watching. I jumped out of my seat. Was Happy a Deathbringer in the form of an apple? This didn't make any kind of sense. I mean, was he a master predictor? If this episode somehow managed to predict that event, I have to watch episode 10 and 11 to see if there was anything else predicted. I might not see any predictions though, and honestly, I hope to God not. Oh, and you want to know what happened when someone calls a tsunami aid phone number? Tomorrow I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna give it a call. I called the 1-800 hotline mentioned in episode 3. It was a pre-recording, which I will transcribe for you. "Hello, my name is Happy. I'm every kid's most helpful and favorite apple. If you want to make a donation, press 1. If you want to know about the earthquake, press 2. And when I pressed 2, the hotline said this. An earthquake and tsunami has recently hit Japan, and we need all the help we can get. If you can make a donation of 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, or $100, you'll be a really big help. Anyone who donates gets a Happy badge." So I went ahead and donated $1 to the donation for the fun of it, using an outdated bank account that I never used. It responded, "Thank you for helping with the aid of the tsunami. Look in your mailbox a week from now, because you'll get your own Happy badge." I was wondering what earthquake Happy predicted. Between 1999 and the current day, there was no 9.0 earthquakes in Japan. Since the 2003 Hirakato earthquakes was pretty close to what the episode when it was released, as well as the magnitude mentioned in the radio broadcast, I guess he probably was predicting that. Episode 10 was corrupt, to say the least. It started up, but it had no audio, and the first part was so badly compressed it was hardly viewable. The next part was just plain static for the rest of the video. Great, a missing episode, I thought. Episode 11, called Happy Strick, was actually watchable. The intro was just some weird offbeat carnival music with Happy doing his death stare at the camera. The episode began with him in his van driving on a winding road. As the episode went on, scars started to appear on his body. Eventually, Happy reached the playground where many children were at play. He jumped out, looking like he was ready to abduct all of them, and said, "Hey kids, who wants to see Happy do a magic trick?" Like brainwashed zombies, the kids cheered and ran to his van. Happy closed the door and drove away from the playground. After a few minutes, the van came back. On the side door opened, revealing a motionless and expressionless Happy covered in blood. I couldn't take it anymore. Happy was making me feel extremely nauseous for some reason, so I skipped the end of the episode. From what I saw, the rest of the episode was him watching TV and reading the news, with random zoom-ins at the newspaper. Why though? I'm guessing they were predictions like episode 9, but after that episode, I'm not going back to read them. There was a very brief scene where Happy began to stab a kid, but it quickly cuts to Happy watching a scene on his TV where the inside of a space shuttle catches on fire. Why the hell does this show keep showing scenes of very reminiscent of future disasters? Once I got to the end of the episode, Happy was holding a knife covered in blood. The camera began to pan down on a table, which had a hand with cut marks lying on it. It was probably the most unusual thing about this episode happening after the scene. After a few seconds, the credits played. It very suddenly cut to a black screen with text that said, "If you get these DVDs, I copied the show over them for whatever master tapes I could find. I wanted to preserve the show just so the last few episodes weren't lost forever." Now, you might be wondering one thing. How the fuck did Nickelodeon air all these episodes? I don't know. They just did. That's what. Look, if you want to know more about the show, including its fate, see me. KC. Thankfully, I had a very good grasp on whom KC most likely was. Kevin Stewart Christensen, a friend of mine. It wouldn't be out of the question. When I first met him, he did mention something about working with Nickelodeon until the end of the millennium. Wanting to learn more about the show's fate, I went over to his house. What happened when I got there was, to put it bluntly, odd. When I got to his house and rang the doorbell, nobody responded. The door wasn't locked, so I decided to come into the house to see what was going on. I heard a middle-aged woman crying upstairs, so I ran across the living room up the stairs to see what was going on. Kevin's wife was in their bedroom, crying at a framed portrait of them together. I asked her what had happened to Kevin. She replied with a very odd answer. "Last night, someone or something took him away in his sleep. The police are still trying to look for him, but they came up with nothing as usual. They questioned me and searched our house for any evidence, but there's nothing except for the scrap of paper." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I unfolded it, and it revealed itself to be a low-quality photograph of the scarred Happy Appy during the natural scene. While I was at their house, I asked her how this episode had managed to get it to air on Noggin. "This man had drugged the producers. He was going to..." She only managed to say that much before bursting into tears. I could only think that whatever this man was had kidnapped Kevin on the 26th. After comforting her, I left the Christensen household and walked off. Once I started to get near my house, I was startled by a noise of a gunshot nearby. I instantly ran to my house, fearing whatever kidnapped Kevin and killed his wife was trying to chase after me. Before I closed the door, I took one last glimpse in the bushes on the other side of the street. In one of them was a mutilated arm, with an unknown figure standing right beside it. Hey, I wanted to know if anybody had any recordings of a Happy Appy episode. If you do, please send me an email containing video of it. You might wonder why I'm asking this. Well, I found my disc in pieces on my desk, and no, I didn't save any of the videos to my laptop. Oddly, the way it was broken was almost like a claw had slashed the disc into thirds. The paper with Happy Appy on it was nearby, writing on it with writing that said, "No more evidence now, huh?" I wondered who was so angry enough to destroy my disc. The badge finally came into the mail today. It came in a small box that had, interestingly enough, a timestamp from 2000. I could only guess that Nickelodeon still had some left over from when the show was still popular. When I opened the box and dumped out its contents, a badge came rolling out, with a letter attached to it. The badge was made of plastic, had a silver bronze collar, and depicted Happy Appy with a smile. On the back, Happy Appy Helper badge was imprinted in a stereotypical army font. The letter had the following written on it. "To my friend, you have helped us help the Japanese. Of course, let me introduce myself. Unarguably, you've heard me on Noggin. Can't understand what I'm saying? Well, I'll give you the answer. Happy Appy, Appy App, Appy App, Happy App, Happy Appy, Appy App. He helps kids all day. Now, where do I begin with this gift? Today I've given you a nice badge, right from the old playground. Now, how did I get this, you ask? Running across the playground, I tripped on a rock. I fell down, but I noticed that the ground was uneven. Undoubtedly something was buried there, so I dug on the ground and found a crate filled with these badges. Now it's time to be off. Watch Noggin at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time to see my new adventures. Love, Happy Appy. I checked the back for anything interesting, but all I found were just 2 lines of gibberish. I don't even know what they meant to me. Today I got an email from a man who claimed to be a user on WikiLeaks. He had heard about my research on Happy Appy, so he tried to find any documents relating to the show. He did find one, which told employees at Nickelodeon to never air certain TV shows or movies. After browsing through a massive description of Crybaby Lane and other shows, I found this block of text in the middle of the document. One show, originally named Happy Appy, was cancelled due to the excessive violence and gore. The show depicted a personified apple named Happy Appy that taught kids how to handle certain injuries and, on an episode heard Happy, teamwork. On our last and only 8th episode, only an hour had passed when Noggin began to remove all traces of the show. Children who had watched the show's final aired episode allegedly obtained symptoms of nausea and sleep deprivation. A 2003 report says that the episode seemed to depict explicit imagery of the September 11 terrorist attacks, even though the episode aired in 1999. I'm just getting a lot more dubious about the show. First off, yes, I know that Happy Appy might have predicted the recent earthquake and tsunami, so stop sending me emails about it. To put it short, I'm back. Since my job involves working as a detective in the police department, I had to take a hiatus from this blog so I could get paid. During this period, there were some trials involving the murder of Kevin Christensen. However, they came to an abrupt halt when the arm they found disappeared one day. I bet that Shadow Man stole the arm. Anyway, I was looking up Happy Appy on YouTube today when I found a video that said, Kevin Christensen interview, audio only. So I watched it, and this was the transcript. Interviewer: Are you Kevin Christensen? Yes. So, you were the one that worked on Happy Appy's clay model? Yes. How did you get the job from Happy Appy? I had just recently graduated from an art college in late 1998. I had heard about Nickelodeon Studios who were making cartoons, so I sent in a resume, and a few weeks later, I got the job. I was pretty happy. Well, until shit hit the fan. What happened on the day that made the Happy Appy model? Okay, so basically, we had to design a cute-looking puppet for the show. We started with a rusty stick that was lying around the floor in the studio, made an apple out of clay, and stuck it on the stick. We added baby blue eyes as well as pupils so that he could look cuter and less frightening for children, huge green lips, and clay arms. Finally, we added a stem and a leaf, and we thought it was perfect for the show. Who voiced Happy Appy? I don't remember his name, but I do remember who he was from. It was a show called Fright House Screamers, where 4 teenagers would spend the night at haunted places. What happened to Fright House Screamers? When they were filming the 4th episode, one of the teenagers was found dead in the place where they were doing. Besides, the show sucked ass. Was the voice of Happy the teenager who got killed? I'm pretty sure not. Back to Happy Appy. Why aren't there any surviving copies of that show? That's a good point. You see, Nickelodeon owns the tapes somewhere, but they're not going to release them for a long time. There have been bootlegs, of course, but none showed the episode after episode 11, which is weird. How many episodes of Happy Appy were there going to be? 2 full 26-episode seasons. They only showed 8 to 10 of the first season before Happy was cancelled. However, my friend Jim said there was actually 2 seasons, but he was very drunk when he said that. Besides, I don't trust him at all. Do you know any other crew who worked on Happy Appy? To be fair, I only know Jim. Dear God. I've been having some feverish nightmares of Happy Appy since I saw those last episodes. The dreams range from Happy doing his death stare for hours to him brutally murdering a kid off camera. Not only that, but I've become paranoid of apples. If I see one in my house, I eat it as quickly as I can or I throw it away. I've seen the mysterious figure more, whether he's sitting on the side of a hill or standing near some trees. It never seems to leave me alone. However, I can at least describe his appearance. First off, he can't be made of shadows because he has some sort of face with a mouth. However, his mouth is locked into one expression, which seems to be Happy's death smile. I'm gonna sound really weird for this, but I wonder if he's happy. No, he can't be. There's a fine difference between the figure and Happy Appy, a child-sized apple. Oh well. Here's more about the stalker's body. He looked like he's slightly taller than me. For reference, I'm about 1.8 meters, and looks like mid-weight for his height. If he keeps appearing, I'm gonna have to board up my house. I'm not too sure what his problem is, but if he doesn't stop, I'm gonna call the cops the next time I see him. Great, just fucking great. How the hell do I put this in short? Right now I'm at the library, which could very well be the only place in Aberdeen that is free to use computers. It has been a full 5 days since I last encountered that figure, and that bastard had some sort of problem, cause he burnt my fucking house down. Oh yeah, he burnt the entire fucking thing down for no reason whatsoever. I did manage to save some things from my house, like my laptop and the Happy Appy badge and letter. Even then, I feel like I've released some sort of bullshit after watching these episodes of Happy Appy, and the library is pretty much my only spot. Thanks to that figure, I'm not even going to research more on the show anymore. After I destroyed the badge and letter, I'm going to close down this blog, or better yet, I should kill that fucker for what he did. I don't give a damn if I break the law and get sent to prison. However, that figure has to fucking pay for what he did to me. However, I'm not sure the figure burned down my house. I didn't see his figure near my house, so it could have just been a chimney or electrical fire. So you know what? Forget what I said about closing down the blog and killing the figure. I'm gonna treat the fire like it was natural and just keep researching the show. Don't expect me to act nicely in the following months, though. Because I'm not gonna fucking bother.
In fear and surprise as your eyes widen, your mouth goes dry with each battered breath. You try to scream, your mind begs to leave, glued to your computer screen. The killers they slash, the tapes burn and crash. The cartridge you bought will be your final haunt. The rituals of hate will seal your fate. The tears you shed will be from the fear-gripping, horror-driven, nightmarish, gore-filled, terrorizing, hateful, burning, violent, rage-inducing, knife-slashing, blood-splattering, silent screams. Only time will tell if you will escape this online hell. Your horror-filled obsessions will come with its own regressions. Your pathetic screams will not be heeded in any way, because your nightmares will come at